Alright guys, I'm Rabea and I'm here with Martin Kidd from Victory Amps at Brighton Electric Studios, surrounded by loud bands playing and practicing. But we're down here today to check out the brand new VX100. Hopefully you're familiar with the VX, which is this little beast here. Now if you liked this amplifier, then just add a few more amazing features to Eternal Palette and then you've got VX100. Not only is it twice the power, but it also has a couple of new features I think you're all going to really enjoy. Yes, Martin, let's find out a little bit more.
I think we should.
I'm excited because we're finally at the point where we can sit down and talk about VX100.
Finally, we are, yes. Even after our soft launch, shall we?
Definitely a soft launch, NAMM 2018.
It was, yes.
It was there,
Yeah.
but it wasn't quite right.
No,
But it is now.
it is now. Yes, it wasn't quite right, and then you threw a spanner in the works.
I certainly did. It's what I do best.
Yes, but I had fun.
Yes.
Said spanner.
And new skills have been
I
learned
have, yeah.
and acquired.
Yeah.
I guess for the people watching this video, it's worth answering a few questions.
Yeah.
Firstly, is it the same as VX tonally?
Hopefully, yes, but with added stuff. So
Yeah.
we took that was the basis. We didn't want to change the sounds that the original VX lunchbox had even.
One thing I'd seen a lot of was people saying, why doesn't it have a clean channel? And it's not that it was necessarily a bad thing that it didn't, it was just the amp needed to work in a certain way to provide cleaner tones.
Yeah.
All on one gain pot and gain one. So adding a clean channel was, I think for me over the years of using it, I'd gotten more excited about the prospect of having a dedicated clean.
Yes.
But in reply to, so when I remember asking you what the difference between gain 1 and 2 was, and you mentioned that it was half a preamp tube
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
And that blew my mind. I was like, how can it sound so different between the two channels with one half preamp tube? And I remember going, in theory, what happens if you took another half out?
Yeah.
Would it clean up?
Yeah.
Because one thing we've spoken about in the past is our favourite clean tones are ones that are sort of derived from a gain stage because of the harmonic content there.
Yeah, yeah, it's richer. Most nice clean sounds are not as clean as one might think.
Yeah.
They've got a richer harmonic content, and that's what makes them just a little bit more pleasing. And they just feel a little bit easier, not so stiff.
Yeah, and I remember going, all right, well, can we try that and see what happens? And I think that is the foundation of the clean channel of VX100, right?
Absolutely, yes, that's it. And of course, you then, once you've reduced the gain, got to look at things that help EQ the sound to make it more like a clean sound that you expect. So we had to put some switching in to make the tone stack of the VX100 more more akin to that kind of vintage clean amplifier.
Yeah, because I think
that's a good way to put it.
It is fair to say that modern high gain amplifiers tend to not overlook or disregard the clean channel. But from my experience of high gain amplifiers of the modern day, the clean channel tends to be a bit uninspiring. And I don't know why that is, but for me, with the VX100, the clean channel coming from a gain stage, I just find it really rewarding. There's, you can turn the gain up and you can get some crunch, but actually you can back it off and just find the chimey, glassy cleans that I personally look for in a clean sound.
Yes, I often find, again, it depends how your guitar is wired, etc. But what I often find is having more gain on my clean sound and turning my guitar down is quite often a nicer way to go.
Yeah. Something else that I'm really excited about as well is the addition of the Preamp Focus.
Yeah.
Which was an interest. I remember having a conversation with Adam Nolly Getgood, who you might know from Periphery and all that kind of stuff. And we were chatting, and I remember him sort of saying, "Oh, that's something I'd not seen before," and it was kind of something I'd had in the back of my mind as like we've done bass focus, which tightens everything up with the whole negative feedback.
Yeah.
But then it was like, what happens if we can add a boost, like a tube screamer type sound into the amp on a switch?
Yes, and that again, that is a focus. It focuses. It's more of an EQ thing, and a feel thing for most guitar players, I think, when they use that kind of device.
Because it's like lead, you're going to throw in a tube screamer to get the real rich sustain, but then in modern metal, people use tube screamers to pronounce the mid-range, tighten up the low end, get the genty-genter.
Yeah, and I mean, two things. I didn't want to copy a tube screamer circuit, and it took up too much room. So
so you had to devise your own.
So I came up with a different way around it, which I'm quite pleased with, actually. And even being sad, looking at the wave shape on a scope is quite similar.
Well,
not exactly the same.
I think, if you're getting excited of the wave shape on a scope, we're in the right ballpark for great sounds.
Or I need to get a hobby, possibly, but
So I'm right in assuming that the Preamp Focus is not a valve stage circuit as such?
No, it isn't. No, it's a high voltage FET. So it will take the same voltages as a valve, but it takes up much less room, doesn't require a heater, so that you get round certain noise issues with that. And so it is just based on a high voltage FET. A FET is a field effect transistor.
I never knew what that meant until just now.
Yeah, field effect transistor.
There you go, you learn something new every day.
You do, yes.
Every day's a school day.
It is.
With Martin Kidd.
Yes. School days with Martin Kidd. Yeah. you've got 6 sounds then.
Yeah.
At least.
Because you can add it to the clean
Yes.
with a Strat and get the Stevie Ray vibes, dirty blues.
Mm-hmm.
You can throw it on the gain 1 and tighten that up, make it a thick saturated sound. And then you can throw it on gain 2 and you've just got sustain, gain, lead tones for days.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you have, yeah.
it's almost, like you say, like a 6-channel amp almost in a way.
Yeah, there's certainly 6 sounds there.
Yeah, which is great. So the last big feature, which is was my spanner in the works as such, was when we announced it at NAMM and we were like messing around and doing our final sort of pre-production of the amplifier. I remember sitting there with the foot switches and going, "It's quite a lot of foot switches.
Yeah.
How am I personally going to use this in a live application?" Because for a lot of people, 1 foot switch, 2 foot switches is enough to achieve what you want out of the amp. But as you know, I use the Gig Rig G2 switcher, and many other players do.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I going to achieve all the sounds out of VX100 without MIDI functionality? Henceforth, my spanner in the works.
Yeah.
When I went, "Martin, any chance we can have MIDI?"
Probably. Yes. Yeah, that was... Well, it was a learning curve for me. I mean, anyone that knows me knows as sort of January this year, I didn't have a clue. And so I had to learn and then get it put in there.
So you've literally learned the language of MIDI since January 2018 to now. You now know how to do it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great.
That's as much as I know of digital programming, but
that's what you want,
That's all I need to know. Yeah. So, yeah. But that I was glad we did that because I think probably your G2 could have covered most of it, but possibly not all. I'm not sure. But,
I think it's just if you're building sounds, being able to send those MIDI commands and choose effects loop with clean or preamp focus with effects loop and crunch, and actually just being able to do that.
Yeah.
For someone like me, as a touring guitarist, is really handy.
Yeah, so you just hit one button,
and
it's quite easy to program. You just literally select your selections on whatever you want on the front panel and hit the store button.
And just to be clear to anyone watching this video, you can still function the amp from the double foot switches. We've got inputs on the back.
Oh, yes.
And you can do all of that if you want to, if you want a simpler setup. But for anyone like myself and anyone using switches of any kind that want MIDI functionality, I can literally design every single reverb, delay patch, setting on the amp, all as one hit of a button.
Yeah, you can.
Just to be absolutely crystal on this particular subject, the stuff that is MIDI functional are all the modes, not necessarily the pots. Well, not the pots of the amplifier. It's literally your channels, preamp focus, masters, effects loop, that kind of thing.
Yeah, those. Yeah, each of the features can be switched on and off. You can't pre-program an EQ for the clean channel and then pre-program another EQ setting for the clean channel.
That's a whole different ball game.
That's a whole different ball game.
I mean, I have all my settings at 12 o'clock, all my EQ. It sounds fantastic. So,
well, that's what we've worked to a little bit, isn't it? With our meetings like this, we've worked to get in that as a good starting place.
Yes. I love the. In fact, we've got one here. I love this little chap. This has been my #1 amplifier since it came out.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't thought twice about using any other amplifier because it does everything I need it to do. But knowing that I can now program it with MIDI and I've got a clean channel should I need to have a... Well, it's just going to give another string to the bow of sounds that it can create.
Yes.
You know? And for me, that's super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's the convenience of having everything happen literally just like that.
Yeah.
You know, it isn't, like you say, the tap dancing once you get an involved amplifier is...
Yeah, but also like the fact that I could still fly with this in my overhead, and you know I obviously can't fly with that, but I can take this wherever I need to go and it sounds the same. You know, the gains 1 and 2, I've got the same tone. So it's just great, to be honest, and this definitely isn't going to go on the shelf and get dusty, but
good stuff.
It's nice to know I can have twice the power.
Yes, most definitely.
On the subject of power, now we've got 100 watts.
Yes.
Let's just go into detail on that. Is it because we're going VX100? Is that twice as loud? Are we talking twice as loud as VX?
No. You are talking about louder, and in sound pressure levels on a decibel scale, it's 3 decibels louder.
The higher the wattage, the higher the headroom, and having a clean channel now it's really important that you can drive that clean channel master and get it as loud as you need it to be.
Yes.
Not saying it wouldn't have been with a 50 watt, but just knowing that you've got more than enough. Because with gain stages, with gains 1 and 2, it's a compressed signal anyway, it's full of gain, so it might sound tiny bit louder, but really the main benefit is on the clean.
But sometimes you can get the impression that something's louder because it's distorted and because of the I don't know if it's psychoacoustics, but your perception sometimes, and so you've got to balance that out where you think it sounds balanced.
Well, I think the bands are starting up again and I can hear buses revving outside, so I think it's fair to say probably nearing an end, but thank you so much for providing us with these beautiful tools of tonal satisfaction. I cannot wait to start gigging this bad boy.
I look forward to that too. Yeah.